Welcome to Dadhammer Bolters and Booze, where we discuss all things Warhammer while staying hydrated with an adult beverage, a festive beverage. It's festive time of year, so we're going to stay hydrated and stay festive at the same time. I am David the Warboss, and I am joined now at this point, as always, by Chief Librarian Lawson.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good. The Chaplain himself.
It's good to be back.
Yes, sir. And Medicae Steve.
Hello, everybody.
You sound a little sleepy, Steve.
It's been a day, dude.
You need to take a nap? You need a break already?
I do. It's been a season. I don't know a day. Golly.
It's
rough.
It's the season of joy and giving.
Yeah, and running your butt off.
Or attending children's Christmas programs.
Yeah,
That's what I did. I got to attend my son's Christmas program, and in the middle of the lull between Christmas songs, he just blurts out, "What are we supposed to do now?" and then 2 songs later, he says, "Mommy, can you tie my pants? They're not tied." Like dead silence, and then here he is. It's like that's my boy. There he is. Thumbs up, buddy.
Yeah. He's just saying what all the parents are thinking.
I know, but man, it was so awesome. It was over in 20 minutes. It was the best Christmas program ever. So nice. I was excited. Yep. Well, we have a phenomenal show for you. We're starting to round out the year where all things are top 10 lists and looking back and all that. We like to look forward here a lot because you never know on Dadhammer how much time you have left. It went morbid real quick. Sorry. But we've got an update on a couple of things. One being the Combat Patrol League, the Dadhammer Combat Patrol League, or CPL, as the kids say. I don't think any kids say that at all, but it sounds like something they would say. We got the CPL results. We have crowned a winner, and it was. I want to say it was close, but it wasn't. So we'll talk about the winner and some lessons learned from our Combat Patrol League. We'll also go through the 2023 Miniature of the Year. If you haven't checked that out on the Warcom site, they have the voting up now where you can, at first we thought it was just the ones they showed off one model per month, but no, it's like every single model for the entire year. So be sure to check that out, but we're going to go over our personal picks for Model of the Year. And then we will round out the show with our best hobby and gaming moments of 2023. So all the cool stuff that we did, things that we're most proud of, and just a look back on the Warhammer activities, if you will, for the previous months. Thank you so much for listening to our show. If you like what you're hearing, make sure to rate, follow, and subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you choose to listen. And you can find us on our website, dadhammerpodcast.com. And we've actually been pretty active as of late. We've got some gift lists on there, some cool content for folks that are looking to get started into Warhammer. We've also put up some stuff on Instagram, some nice little videos with Mariah Carey theme songs in the background, which is always lovely. But yeah, a lot of cool stuff. And be on the lookout also for YouTube. We've got some YouTube content coming with some reviews. So be on the lookout for that. But first, before we go any further, we're going to start with the most important part of every Dadhammer podcast, and that is, what are we drinking? And Mr. Chaplain, I will start with you. You look, just looking at you here, it looks like you're really excited about what you're drinking tonight. So lay it on us. I'm ready to be really, really impressed.
Liquid Death.
Is that how you're feeling?
It's been a rough day.
Yeah.
Liquid Death, Bury It Alive. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's water that tastes like berries, and it's from the Liquid Death Company. So,
Buried Alive. I get it. Okay.
Buried Alive.
We'll play on words.
You like that?
Pretty dark for a chaplain, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's got a skull on it, which is what most chaplains wear when they're
it's on brand.
That's it.
Right?
Yeah, okay, all right.
When they're going out,
chaplains are about life and death.
That's it. When they're going out to hang out with their friends, just put a skull on. What's up, guys?
Hey, dudes.
Where'd you get your skull from? It's down the street.
Skull
at the
store.
skull getting played.
Yeah.
I ordered it before Christmas.
Mm-hmm. You beat the shipping deadlines, as James Workshop would say. Very nice. Oh, a good deal. Mr. Chief Librarian, what are you drinking tonight? And don't steal my drink. You got something similar to what I have?
Well, since you're letting me go first, technically it'll be you stealing my drink. So I'm drinking eggnog.
Oh, man.
Yeah, sorry, bad. It's just regular. It is a vanilla, like a vanilla with cinnamon eggnog. So it's not your standard typical eggnog. It's a little extra.
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact: this is this week was the first time I ever tried eggnog in my life. It's been an experience. It's like drinking melted ice cream, but better. It's great. It's
good.
truly great.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's been nice.
Well, I also recommend something, and I don't know where it came from, where it originated. Lee, you're usually the one with the history lesson with us on whatever drink we have, but boiled custard, that's really good. It's like a thicker version of eggnog, and every time I drink it, I always feel like it's the Pepto-Bismol commercial where it like coats your insides. It's like a ice cream mucus that's just coating, and I feel like I'm getting ready to die as soon as I drink it. It's really good.
See, now I don't believe that.
Okay.
Why would
That
you
description tells me not.
Yeah, never refer to anything as liquid mucus. Never use those combinations of words ever again.
But it tastes good, so that's kind of like when you talk
doesn't
about
matter.
Taco Bell, right? When somebody talks about Taco Bell and they ask you, do you know where that meat comes from? Like, I don't know, but it sure tastes good with a bunch of cheese and sauce on it.
Yeah, and a toilet discussion usually comes up with Taco Bell
True.
as well.
That's liquid death right there. So maybe we should just change the names. All right. Well, Lawson, enjoy your eggnog.
Thank you, sir.
I have the cocktail this evening, but I'm gonna let Steve go first. Steve, what have you got?
So I found a recipe for what is it called? Whisper cake cocktail. I don't know. I think it's supposed to be like a coffee cake. So you take Whisper Tennessee sipping cream, which I guess is like, I don't know. I'm sure there's other stuff out there like rum chata and different kind of things.
Liqueurs.
And it's liqueurs. It's vodka, the Whisper cream, some sort of coffee liqueur, but I use the Kraken dark roast espresso.
You and your
rum.
Kraken. You love you some Kraken, don't you?
Man, I like that stuff.
You just like the logo. I think that's why.
I do.
It's all the marketing.
I'm a sucker. And like a splash of vanilla and some cinnamon, and it tastes like coffee cake, and I'm liking it.
You just need some coffee cake now. What if you just soaked it in that?
Oh, I'm down for that.
Mm-hmm. Man, you really be buried alive. I think we're all coming back to the name of liquid death, and we're just having a different version of it. Each one of us.
We just want to take a dirt nap.
Mm-hmm. Well, that sounds tasty. I have the cocktail, but I think just really, I'm trying to reserve the big finish for the year. I've got a cocktail in mind that is Red Gobbo inspired, and I'm saving that for a future podcast in the next week or so. But tonight, I took the lazy route, and I've got some Evan Williams spiked eggnog. So I think it's got some bourbon in it, and that's really it. I just poured that in a glass and sprinkled some nutmeg on top, and I'm like, because the nutmeg makes it fancy. Because you just put it on there, and you're like, ooh, that looks like I spent some time on it, and I totally didn't. But I debated on the name. I just went really lazy with the name too. We wish you a Merry Squigmas, and because of the Red Gobbo, the whole Squigmas thing, that's it. It's really simple, very lazy, and the drink itself is lazy, but tasty still, and that's the most important thing. And it does not taste like liquid death. Thank you. It's quite tasty. I like it. Well, I hope everybody enjoys their festive drink of choice. Cheers and bottoms up, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So let's get into our first segment, and it's a bit of a new one, but something that we're going to repeat in future episodes. And we're all about the local game store at Dadhammer here. We've got several in the area. We're talking Middle Tennessee for those that are also in the area as well, Greater Nashville area. There's a ton of game stores that we'll be highlighting over the next few months, but we're going to spotlight a couple here. One is Blackthorn Game Center. We've talked about that one in Dixon, Tennessee. If you're in the area, check that place out. But specifically, we had our Dadhammer Combat Patrol League. We partnered with Blackthorn to host it for us. We came up with our scoreboard. You got points for winning. Just if you've seen the White Dwarf issues where they have the awards for winners, and they track the points, so how many warlords you took care of and how many games you played. Did you play with fully painted armies, etc.? And then all those points were added up to determine a winner. So we decided to do that as well, and we got several players within the local area to participate in our first Combat Patrol League. And we ran it through a couple of months, and we have a winner by a pretty good margin. The winner of the first Dadhammer Combat Patrol League is Hayden. So of local, I guess he's from Dixon. I'm not sure, but I would assume so. But he has taken the crown, and by a multiple points, multiple games, and with his Necrons, absolutely destroyed everyone. So well done, Hayden. We had. Yes, very much so. Congratulations. I don't know how many he lost. Not very many. He just kept going. It's just every time I would get another email and something would come in where Hayden had played another game and another game and another game. And you know what? It gives everybody else hope that even if you can still get points and still, and not be great at Warhammer, like even if you're awesome at Warhammer like Hayden is, you can still participate in a Combat Patrol League and never win a game and still get points.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was just a cool thing to see, I think. But his Necron force showed no mercy and took home first place. Second place is the Chaplain. Mr. Lee himself took second place. And, I don't want to say there was home cooking, but I think I'm going to anyway. But I'm the one that kept the scoreboard, so I wouldn't artificially put someone else in second place, I don't think. But yeah, so well done, Lee. How did you think? What was your experience with the Combat Patrol League in general?
I mean, it was fun. I think for me, one of the greatest things about it was the ability just to be able to play other people. I mean, we've got our own friend group that we play on a regular basis, but just being able to jump on a Discord server and just going, "Hey, does anyone want to play in this league?" I had the chance of playing William a couple of times, who's in the league, and he was great just to play alongside, learn the game together. So I think that, like, if you're going to do a Combat Patrol League, just opening it up to other people, you just begin to build community. So that's what I loved. And if you paint your models, you get 10 points. So
you were really a stickler on that. Every time we would play, you'd say, well, it's 10-10. I'm like, what are you talking about? We haven't even started yet. Like, well, I got 10 points from my fully painted armies and I'm taking it. And so, I mean, it just made me think, oh man, well, I really got to show up with my fully painted armies. But I agree with you. I like the fact that it was so easy to play. It's not a 4 to 6 hour commitment unless you take forever like we do. But it's still in theory, a quick game where you can play several different armies if you want to. It doesn't require a lot of space. You could play on a little card table if you wanted. And I really encourage people to start up a league. Just personally, I had never really done that before. We had never run a league. And really all it takes is, you don't even have to have a spreadsheet, but you can get fancy if you want to. You could just do paper, pencil, whatever, and record the points and mark those down. But it is incredibly easy to start. And, Lee, as you mentioned, just getting out on Discord and asking folks if they want to play, it was always a really cool thing. So I'm glad that you got interested in there as well.
I think what's great as well is because the rules are free, if you're going to play someone who's Necrons, you can do a little bit of work on the front end and kind of study up their army as well, so that when you both come, you're both coming with those rules, and you kind of, it makes the game run quicker. Whereas a 500,000 point, you're kind of locked at that paywall in regard to the rules. So I thought that was really good, just being able to rock up and go, okay, hey, I'm playing against World Eaters. I know they're going to come really tough and want to get me locked into melee. Okay, let me work out my tactics. So I just think it's a perfect place to start for anyone. Is Combat Patrol?
Yeah, I agree. I think too the paywall is a bit of a problem, because I don't want to go out and buy the codex for every single army personally. And if I'm playing against someone else, now the other limitation is my own mental capacity, because I can barely keep up with my own army, and if I have to go try to study someone else's, it's just not going to happen. So I think Combat Patrol for sure is the better way to go.
Yeah, I think we've talked a lot about budget and the expense of Warhammer, and I think Lee sort of touched on it. I think for me, you could easily buy three Combat Patrol boxes of different armies, with the free rules and whatever, way before you could start even thinking about maybe buying 1,000 point army and the codexes and everything that goes along with it for the big Warhammer stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for if you were to go to Blackthorn, you can get a Combat Patrol box for around $130. So you're talking three Combat Patrol armies for less than $400, and that's it. I think if you would easily get into $1,000 point army for not $400 plus codexes, because each codex is like $50-$60, and you're gonna have to go, and then you're kind of like Lee said, you're locked into that army because you're not going to want to stray too far from it. But I don't know, I think it's a wonderful method, and I hope they continue to either grow it, encourage it, or make some other options with it. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, the only other thing that I would say too is that I wish, and this is I'm nitpicking, but some of the armies they did a really good job of trying to balance everything out. Right, you get a good variety in each combat patrol box. Some are better than others, but Lee, I was playing against you with Tyranids, and I was really excited. The models looked fantastic. The way that you painted them, added the jungle scheme to them, and I was really, really scared of like the psychophage model. The thing looks just disgusting, and it's going to eat my souls. What it looks like, and then it gets into melee. It didn't really do much, and I thought, well, is that it? Don't you get like 800 more attacks or something? Like, no, that's really kind of it. So and that's fine. I think every army is going to be a little different. But I remember playing against your Space Marines too, and I mean, a good 80% of the models on the table were just wiped immediately. But the 20%, which would be your Terminators, oh man, I just ran into a chipper shredder. I mean, they just like melted me with shots and melee. So that would be the only thing. I think some of the units in certain armies are a little more powerful, maybe a little too powerful, and you kind of have everything into one particular side, and it's not as balanced. But for example, with Chaos Space Marines, yeah, I have the Hell Brute, and that thing's pretty powerful, but it's not. It can be taken out, and everything is fairly well balanced in the Chaos Space Marines. There's no one unit that is just absolutely terrible. It's all just kind of okay, and I wish they would do that maybe with some rules updates, but that again, that's a nitpick. I think the majority of the combat patrol armies are really well balanced and well done.
I mean, I've had the benefit of playing three. So I played the Tyranids, the Space Marines, and then the Eldari. Played the Eldari for the Combat Patrol League. And if I'm honest, as I've played those three, I've come away going, I actually enjoy the Space Marines and the Tyranids more than the Eldari force, which in my mind then put a stop on me going and buying a ton of Eldari models. They look amazing, but the gameplay wasn't really what I was thinking it would be. So I've really kind of settled back now, going, okay, let me build this Tyranid army out. Let me build this Space Marine army out. So that was a great thing with Combat Patrol, is that you can just kind of slow play into an army, and then you can add like character models to it and build it out as you go along. So Combat Patrol is a win for me. I think it's the perfect place for anybody to start. And then if you can jump in a league, you can learn as well alongside maybe seasoned players or other people that are at the same level as you. So I would highly recommend, whether that's at a local game center or even looking out for like 1-day events. Those things pop up and happen all the time. And if you can rock up and pick up a game there, it's going to be the perfect place for you to start. So yeah, I'd highly recommend looking out for those events coming up.
Yeah, the Combat Patrol game mode has been for me just a home run. I think we all agree there. I don't know what they could do to iterate on it. Maybe adding some potential terrain. Me and terrain, but if they could add some specific terrain or some rules or something weird, right? Just to kind of offset it a little bit. Maybe even a custom deck, right, of cards where you draw those and it does a random effect, but specific to a Combat Patrol game, that it's not overly powerful like it would be in a 1,000 or 2,000 point game. So I don't know, just a possibility, but maybe they want to do that in a year or two. They don't do anything right now. I think it's fine as is, and just gives people a great introduction, especially going into the Christmas season, where maybe some are picking up their first box sets, Combat Patrol boxes. I would guess we're going to fly off the shelves for anybody looking to get started in a first army or second army. So if you're listening to this and you're curious, definitely start with the Combat Patrol box is our recommendation. And if you check out the website, we have several articles about how to get started with Warhammer. Are you a brand new to tabletop gaming? Are you just getting, were you playing Dungeons and Dragons before? Now you're curious. Are you starting a second army? There's all kinds of different ways and angles to get into the hobby. So highly recommend you check out the website for more info there. So once again, congratulations to Hayden. We will have another Combat Patrol League in the future, and we're coming for you this time. No mercy. So the second store in our local game store spotlight section here on the show, we're going to talk about a bit of an unassuming title of a local store that I found about a year or so ago, and it's in the Fairview, Tennessee area. So if you're local, it is a mechanical keyboard store of all places. So if you're a PC gamer, you're most likely well aware of the clickety clack mechanical keyboards. I know Lawson has one, and every time he types, I'm like, dude, you need to mute your mic. But
awesome.
but fully customizable keyboards, and it's a great store for that. If you go in and you want to buy a custom keyboard, you want to swap out your keys, you can get different feel for it. The keys that are, and I'm not an expert at this kind of stuff, but I've gone in and messed with them, and just the full customization of options. And I'm not a huge keyboard person, but my son has one, and I've gone in there before to look at the different options there. So the cool part about mechanical keyboard, however, is they also have a really good section for wargaming and lots of other games, card games as well. But we are having an event on Sunday, the 17th, here in a couple of weeks, from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Central Time. And we're going to be playing 40K, maybe some Age of Sigmar. So it is an official Warhammer day. And the Dadhammer crew is going to be there, and several others local going to be participating. It's going to be a really cool event. Best of all, a little sprinkle on top is that the store is going to have 20% off all Warhammer products, which is a significant discount. And we're very fortunate to be in an area here in the Nashville area where so many stores are offering discounts, because it's a fairly rare thing. I see it on Reddit all the time where someone's talking about, hey, I got 10% off. I got 5% off. And we go to the local stores, and we're like, well, it's really not that good. I've got a place that I've got multiple stores now that offer really good discounts. So Mechanical Keyboard Store in Fairview is offering this. So if you're in the area, I highly recommend that you stop by and check out the Warhammer products there. And if you're in the area on Sunday, the 17th, come come by and play a game and say hi. We will be there to chat up and hopefully play some games. I plan on playing at least a couple. Just depends on how long I take. I'm a little slow, but looking forward to that. So check that out. We'll do more of the local game store spotlights in the future, and be sure to listen in for more information. Okay, let's now switch over to the Miniature of the Year 2023. There was a post recently on the Warhammer Community site where they showed off, at first glance, they showed off one model, a picture of a model every month of the year. And I mean, we were all talking about it. I thought it was just those models that we were voting on. But you go to the voting link, and it's literally every single model that came out in 2023, which is a whole lot. And, I thought it would be cool if we could sit here and review the or come up with our own like top 3. And I was talking with Lee about this, and Lee had a really good idea of how to rank these. And so instead of just doing a good, better, best, or terrible, or whatever, we're going to do wound, reserve, and auto include. So your wound model, your miniature, is going to be the worst one, the one that you're going to just cut and throw away and put in the dumpster. Unless you get it as a gift from grandma this Christmas. And then you'll be like, oh, this is just what I wanted. Do you have the receipt? So we're going to do a wound, and then we'll do a reserve, someone you keep in the wings to bring in later, which is a good one, but maybe not someone that starts right away. And then an auto include, where you have to put them on the table no matter what, because it's the big boy. It's the amazing model. So, Lee, I'm going to start with you as the one that came up with the rating system, which I thought was really cool. So we'll start with you. Who is your in the order of wound, reserve, and auto include?
All right, so for wound, I've got the Overlord with a translocation shroud, purely because I tried to put a Necron together that came with like one of these free kits, and I just couldn't do it. Like I think that Necron knew how to fly by the end of the hour that it took, because he went flying across the room. For me, I was like, so I think once you've seen one Necron, you've seen them all. Just robots.
That's hurtful. That's hurtful.
Sorry.
I have several Necrons, although I will agree. Boy, the old Necron models are just, I feel like I need 5 hands in order to put those things together. It's absolutely brutal.
I think if I could put the flayed ones together, you can put anything.
Oh my gosh. I did the flayed ones, and I thought, well, they've already got the droopy skin on them. That's fine. They're supposed to look messed up. And they sure did by the end of it.
So that's that's in the wound bracket. In reserve, I'm going to probably say his name wrong, but Angron.
Yep.
That looks amazing. However, whenever I look at it, I do think of Animal from the Muppets. I can't unsee it. Except instead of drumsticks, it's just swords and chains, and he's like,
Warhammer.
So he falls in my reserves, and then for the auto include, I just waited for this model for a while. Like I had the Tau Army, and then just waiting for Commander Farsight to come out, and I actually have that model, so I'm working on painting that and getting that up. So that is my auto include, Farsight. I just love the idea of how his whole thought is, I'm not going to wait for you to come to me. I'm going to charge into you, and I'm going to, which is completely opposite to how Tau play. We're going to sit back, we're going to wait. But whereas Farsight is like, now we're going to bring the game to you. So for me, that is my auto include.
Every time I hear Farsight, I always want to say Nearsight. I want to make the really terrible joke, and I know I'm not the only one that makes that, but it's like, I get it. It's a cool model. It looks a little samurai-ish. Like I feel like it should have several swords, and it's going to jump on top of some buildings and come crashing down and chop me in the head or something. That's a really cool model. I like the addition to the with the I guess it's the cloth or the what is that? The little tassels, the tree, the things that are flowing from the blade.
Oh, they're just they look like large like purity.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. Purity
Yeah.
seals. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah. But like it's just the whole pose, and then you've got the cherry blossom trees that are coming from the base, and then just I think it's called the Dawn Blade. But I think I think you can do some really nice work on that, especially if you want to try like the OSL lighting, from the blade. It's going to look really good. So I just think the sculpt is great, the pose is great, and just it's not over too much as well. Where some models that they're so overly engineered and overly designed that there's just so much going on. It's simple. It's got a really great pose, and I think if you drop that in the middle of a game, like people are going to go, "Oh wow, that's a great model." So auto include for me.
Very nice. Good deal. All right. Mr. Lawson, we will hit with you next. Who is your wound, reserve, and auto include?
All right. So before I get started into that, you guys were talking about the Necrons, building the Necrons, and it kind of reminded me, have you guys ever built any of the old skeletons from Age of Sigmar? Like not the new death rattle skeletons, but the previous ones where you had to actually glue the shoulder socket into the joint to get the arm, and it wasn't set. It was just you had an open hole and you had to just glue that shoulder socket in there, and it was totally posable and everything, but getting those to stick was the worst. It was so bad.
Well, isn't that
And that's what
what the Necrons are now? Like, don't you have to, because at least from the old ones, the ones with the Lego, laser beam gun with the neon green thing, like you had the gun, and then you had two arms that needed to connect to the gun, but those also had the shoulder sockets that had to go in at the same time and the shoulder joints. So you're having to hold the gun together on the hands with the two arms while you're holding the arms in the shoulder socket as well. It was absolute madness, and I glued my fingers, and I use super glue. I know, heresy, but I have glued my hands to so many Necron models, and then when it finally sets, and I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna let go. They're glued to the model, and then I have to like pull a little harder, and then everything comes apart again, and
everything comes apart. Yeah,
traumatized.
Yeah, so consider yourself lucky using super glue. I tried to use plastic glue for the regular skeletons for Age of Sigmar, and it never worked because the plastic glue took 10 years to dry.
Yep.
So it would take me 45 minutes to glue two arms on one skeleton, and I just converted to super glue, and I just accepted the loss of some of the skin on my fingers. It was
battle damage.
Part of the ship, part of the crew.
Yeah.
It's too late.
Yeah.
Anyways, my little soapbox aside, my wound category would honestly have to be Trog or Throg, the big ogre dude.
Trug.
The troll. Was it Trug?
Trug, the Trogoth King.
There you go. For whatever reason, I thought it was Throg. I don't know where I got Throg. Anyways,
yeah.
He's the big troll.
Yep.
No, I'm just I don't know. The trolls don't do it for me. I've never liked any of the troll models. I've always kind of thought they were. It just I don't know. They didn't do it for me. I never really liked looking at them. They just never looked super cool. So he would kind of land in that category. Just compared to everybody else, he just yeah. As for the reserve, this one was a little bit of a toss up. There were quite a few that I think could have made it into the reserve list. Believe it or not, the seasonal Red Gobbo model almost made it in my reserve list.
Mm-hmm.
He's really cool. They did a really good job this year. That was very impressive. But I think the one that just kind of squeaked ahead of the rest of them is going to have to be Angron. Angron was just such a cool model. Like they did a really good job. There's a lot going on here, but it's not so much that you look at it and feel overwhelmed, or it's not so much that when you look at it, you don't know where to focus. Like if a model's too busy, you don't know where to look. This really isn't it. All this stuff just flows very well together. It's not overdone, and it's just a very solid model. From there, my auto include would be Eternus, Blade of the First Prince, the Slaves to Darkness kind of what's he called? He's like, Steve, help me out. He's
he's Bellacor's herald. Like he's his lieutenant,
The
or actually more like a
Archaon?
captain.
Is that his name?
No, because
no.
Archaon's like kind of over him, or they're like tied,
Mm.
fighting for control. This is something different.
Yeah, he's like a captain, and he is very on the board. He's very synergistic with Be'lakor, right?
Cool.
Like,
okay,
he can come back. He can die and then come back, like
neat.
much like a Stormcast.
Okay, cool.
And he's kind of a beast. He doesn't jive with Archaon. He jives with Be'lakor. So it's kind of a cool. He's like, what is he? The Varangard, those like Uber cavalry guys for the Slaves of Darkness.
Mm-hmm.
He's sort of almost like a traitor Varangard. He's like, I don't care for Archaon. I'm going with Be'lakor. So
Gotcha. Okay.
he's kind of a little bit of a different dude, but yeah, really cool.
Yeah.
Sitting on my workbench now.
Nice. You're gonna have to send some pictures of that one, because like that, when I saw that model, I was like, oh man, no, this is the one. It's such a cool pose. It's a very simple pose. It's nothing crazy, but in that simplicity, it is incredible, and it also offers a ton of posability, I guess. It's not I'm making it up. It's my made up word for the day. There's a lot of stuff you can do, and it's just really neat. So it was that one would be my last one.
Very nice. Good choices. I think there's going to be some repeat, some choice. At least there is going to be for me. I know, like, there's tons of models, but we all looked at the pictures, right? Like, but those look so cool. I mean, this goes against Dadhammer rule number 813, which is, who wants to read? Nobody likes reading.
Yeah, that's reading's for nerds.
Yeah, right? Nerds. We don't know any of those. All right. Steve, what you got, man? Yep. Wound, reserve, and auto include.
So I went with the picture mostly. I felt like very compelled to pick a model for my wound that I have. Okay. Now, obviously, it's not together because most of my stuff isn't. So my wound was the Screamer Tyrannid. It's not a bad model. I like it. It's obviously a major improvement over the original.
Yeah.
I'm still going to work on it, but this is like secret time. The thing that bothers me most about the Tyrannids is that they have hooves. That makes absolutely no sense to me. And the Screamer Tyrannid, or whatever he is absolutely massive. So he just has bigger hooves. And I don't know. It's like looking at somebody with cheap shoes and a really expensive suit. And it hurts my soul just a little bit. Man. So that's all I'm going to pick on the Screamer Tyrannid for.
I don't know why you don't. I think that thing's cool. I think it reminds me
it's cool.
Of you just don't like the shoes.
It's got bad shoes, man.
Yeah, I mean the shoes make the man, hooves. Right?
It needs claws. It's an insect thing-ish alien, and cows have hooves. Not murderous alien creatures.
It might be a reindeer. Maybe it's just a gentle reindeer with 4 arms.
It's so much worse.
Hooves, man. It's not right.
That's true.
So
fair enough.
For my reserve, and this was hard because I'm a Dark Angels guy, but I had to put the lion in my reserve category because I don't have it yet. I'll get it eventually. I know it's really sad, and I should turn in my Dark Angels card. It's a brilliant model. It does look like the Lannister guy from Game of Thrones. That's a little upsetting. But he's got his cool helmets, so you can get past that. I just haven't gotten it yet because I'm not sure. I wouldn't put it on the board yet. I don't know. I'm just procrastinating. I need a reason not to buy stuff, and I'm just going to put him on the injured reserve list for now.
Not the strategic reserve, the injured reserve.
No, injured reserve.
A red shirt.
Great book for how he comes back. It's a really good book. Good read. but words are dumb.
Reading.
Reading.
Pictures better.
And I had to and I had to put auto include was the Ionist Cryptborn. I will never buy this model. I'm not not gonna say that because I'm not a Stormcast player, yet. Time will tell. But I said it before. I thought this was the best looking model, in my opinion, for the year. I just loved the aesthetic. I don't know. Had cool Chaplain Space Marine vibes. Had awesome Age of Sigmar vibes. And for me, I was like, that's really one of the top sculpts in my mind. So that's all I got.
Good
man.
ones. Good ones.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I'll round out the list, and mine will be far less exciting because it's kind of a repeat and everybody else's. But I mean, again, we all looked at the pictures, and so there's only so many to pick. But my wound definitely goes to the new Necron Overlord. Just the swirly stuff around him. It just doesn't. It doesn't. It kind of reminds me of like soft serve ice cream. Like where it has the little swirl on the top, but it's all just around a Necron. It wasn't impressive. It doesn't look imposing. I like the Stormlord, that they came out with, or the other models that they have where they had like the big claw and they're holding an orb and they got a staff and they look like they're going to do something cool. This new Overlord just looks like he's getting ready to go to sleep, and he's getting ready to be put to sleep, right? Because I know they're supposed to be waking from slumber or something. He just looks like he hasn't gotten up yet. So it's like Dracula before they open his coffin. Like it just doesn't do anything. To me, it's a miss. So wasn't my favorite. For reserve, this was also a close one for me. But for reserve, I did include Necron. See, now I've got the Necron on the brain. Angron, or Angry Ron, as I've heard some of the nerd community call him, which I think is great. But Angron does not look like a Muppet. It does not look like Animal, I don't think. A very imposing model, really cool pose, and I'm not a World Eaters player. I mean, he really looks very much demonic, so I mean, that gives off that vibe too. Just not my jam, but a really cool model. I'd prefer, like, if I had to choose between one or the other, I'd go with Be'lakor. I like Be'lakor much better. They both look really cool in their own right, but I don't know. But Angron's a cool model. The very last one for auto include for me was Lionel Johnson. And I'm not a Dark Angels player. I don't ever plan on buying this model or doing anything with him. It gave me, I'm not a big Game of Thrones fan. I know that may be like sacrilege or something, but I'm not a huge fan. I started reading the books. I said the word read. I started reading the Game of Thrones books, and I got a few chapters in, and there's some pretty gross stuff in there. And I just kept having this picture of the author. Was it George R. Martin or whatever his name is? And he's just a weird looking guy, and I just had this picture of him writing that stuff, and it's just grossed me out. And so I never read or watched any of the Game of Thrones stuff. So when I saw Lionel Johnson, I thought of Benedict, the bad guy from Last Action Hero, which was played by Charles Dance. I don't know if you've seen that movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger in it, but that's who it reminded me of.
I think it's the same actor, dude.
Is it?
I think it's the same actor.
Okay, well, fair enough. There you go. See, I make 90s references. Those are the references that I make. So, I mean, I just thought he was a cool looking model. I liked the pose and just really kind of a commanding presence on that particular model. So, well, not to sway any votes, but definitely vote for Lionel Johnson. If you go onto the Warcom site, that's the only one you need to concern yourself with. Just scroll down, check that, hit submit. I doubt that one will actually win. I mean, my guess is it'll be one of the larger ones, maybe the Cryptborn, for example. Angron probably has a really good shot just because it was really well received. So we'll see. But go on the Warcom site. It's just something cool to do. Vote for your favorite model of the year. Well, let's round out the show with our last segment, which is going to review our best of 2023. So we're going to talk through our best models or squads or armies, etc. Things that we put together, we painted, any of the projects that we did. We posted some of this stuff on social media throughout the year. And if you're listening to this show and you've also got models that you're really proud of or projects, we would love to see those. So share those on our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, wherever you prefer, and put those pictures out there. We'd love to see what you have, and then tell us why you thought they were so cool. Because I personally, there are some models that I have painted that may not look amazing, but I had a really cool story to go along with them, or why I did it, and it was a cool moment in my life. So even if you're not super proud of the paint job on the model, doesn't really matter. This hobby is very unique in that it can do things like it distracts, right? It pulls you away from some of the rough parts of life and gives you an outlet. It definitely did for me. So I encourage the listeners to post those and tell us what's up. So I'll start since I went last time here. As far as for me, we'll do this in maybe a couple of different categories, but I'll start with painting. I took on a project that, and I say this lovingly, but I purchased Abaddon from you, Lawson, and several other Chaos Space Marines, and I gave him a glow up. He wasn't in bad shape. This was like your first model that you ever painted in your first army. And I gave him a glow up, and I was really, really proud. I tried some different techniques. I'm not very good at doing the swords with the reflections and all that kind of stuff. That's hard for me, but I did some different things with the sword on him, and I really enjoyed that. That was a fun journey for me. And the Chaos Space Marines, just in general, after buying so many models, I still have the Legionaries to finish up. Those things are so boring. I don't like painting them at all. I've almost done 30 of them, and it's taken me forever. I painted 90 Orc Boys with no problem, but for whatever reason, the Chaos Space Marines just, after you get all the black and gold on them, it looks awesome. But man, it's not the best. But
it's a slog.
Yeah, I have gotten quite far, so I'm getting close, and I'm hoping to close out the year with that. And then from a gaming standpoint, the best / worst, I would say the Leagues of Votan, my beloved dwarves, took a hard nosedive after the nerf from 9th edition. And, they came out really strong, obviously, 9th edition, to much controversy, and then took a pretty big hit from a rules and points standpoint. And then they brought them back to 10th, and they were really, really bad. So that was not the great part, but then they've given them a little bit of a boost, lowered the points, and that's been helpful. So I would say the best of 2023 for me, just because I get to see the resurgence of the Leagues of Votan a little bit. I was really hoping for some kind of really big centerpiece type model for the Leagues of Votan, but I guess that'll maybe come with the Codex next year. And then for me, as far as what was so much fun to play, learning Chaos Space Marines and having Abaddon plus the Terminators. And it's just a really cool look. Usually I would throw them into the fray haphazardly and they would all die. But man, they would take out some serious stuff along with them, because I get Abaddon in there with tons of attacks, have the Terminators, and it was a cool kind of like brick of death just to throw at people. That was a fun thing for me in this year. So with that, I will turn it over to Steve. Steve, what were your big moments of 2023?
I'm most proud of this, and I've already got a bunch, but I did the last 5-man unit of Deathwing Terminators I did. It was one that I went all in on the streaking grime stuff. I don't know. I went in with a plan. I executed it. It came out exactly like I wanted it. I'm going to mix Azrael with that, because that was a really awesome model, and it came out of the same box that one you and I split. So,
the one with Vashtor, when I had that.
Yeah. So they had Azrael, and they had a nice the Deathwing Terminators. I put the Knights, the Deathwing Knights, cloaks or gowns and stuff on, like gowns, the 90s.
Wedding gowns.
The nightgowns they had, their robes. That's the word, robes.
Got to fit into their spring dresses.
So I put those on there, but with the traditional Terminator helmet, so they kind of looked, real dark and gothic-y. But two things on both of these, the Terminators and Azrael, they marked the first banners that I've painted. And I was really happy on how they turned out, because I left them off. I was like, there is no way I'm painting that. And I was like, but I had to. Azrael has to have the banner. I mean, it's just his thing, right? And the Terminators have a really cool banner. And it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. It was actually ended up being a lot of fun. Spent a lot of time on it. So, playing game wise, it's just been 10th edition, man. I think just going into 10th edition itself with Combat Patrol, I don't feel behind. I felt behind every minute I played of 9th. I just never felt like I could get the hang of it, get in the swing of it, because I came into it late, and it just didn't. It was fun. I loved it, but I was always stressed out, man. And I just really enjoyed 10th edition and everything that had kind of come along with it. And I guess this kind of goes with playing, but I'm really happy that I took the Traverse over to AOS. I haven't played yet, but I'm looking forward to it. The Slaves of Darkness models are coming along. Really happy with them. And they're truly, as much as I like Space Marines and all those sculpts, these are the coolest models I have ever messed with, put together. And Chaos just knows how to party. They just have way they have way more fun. I don't know. You could just do so many more fun things. Space Marines are kind of uniform. You kind of have to, you don't have to follow a recipe, but it would look weird if they all look different, I mean, you could do that. It's cool. But there's a monotony to it, like you described with the
Legionaries.
Oh, just yes, the legionary disease. That one. There's just a monotony to it. It's like, oh, look, leather pouches. Oh, look, green armor.
Yeah.
After a while, it's like, but these chaos guys are like, there's not two of them painted alike. Because why would they look alike? They're, murderous rampagers. So it's been a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to playing them. So
cool, man.
Yeah, those are my tops of 23.
Awesome. Well, it's you have more of a variety, I think, with your best of 2023 than I do. I really stuck with a lot of Chaos Space Marines, and you were all over the board. It sounds like so. I'm hoping to. I mean, I tried to get into my Stormcast Eternals, and then I had a spray problem on them, and had to give them an alcohol bath. So I'm hoping to get back in with those very, very soon. Mr. Lee, let's talk about your 2023, sir. What were the highlights for you?
I think for me, most proud of my Tyranids and then the raptors that I'm painting. I think the Tyranids just allowed me to push some of my skill level a little bit further, trying new techniques and things. And then with the raptors, just trying to find a paint scheme that I liked with the Space Marines and with the army green that they have. They're coming on really well. Trying to use different tools as well. So streaking grime has been something that I've just tried to use a little bit more, because I wanted a more of a grimy feel. And what I've tried to do is with the Leviathan box set is I've tried to make sure that the Tyranids and the Space Marines in that box set have a similar feel. So they all feel kind of grimy, so that if you were to play them together, they would work really well. And then for the basing as well, just pushing some of the envelope on that. So using aquarium plants and just sticking them down and painting those, and then using different offcuts of sprues to make it look like bricks had fallen. So really proud of those. And like I said, we'll try and post some pictures of all of our models on Instagram, so people can see and comment and see what we've done. So that's been it for me from the point of view of just painting. And then in regard to just the game itself, it's playing. From where I was to where I am now. I mean, most of my games I played against you, David, and lost, but kept showing up. Consistency is key in Warhammer. Just keep showing up, keep playing. And I think for me, one of the highlights was the last game where we played Combat Patrol, and I just waited and then did the deep strike and dropped the Terminators in the back line and just mowed through the rest of your army. And for me, in that game, there were things that I was doing, which was, making sure my charge was close to the objectives and playing the objectives, not playing how many models you can kill. Just little things that consistency of playing a game brings. So for me, those have been a learning curve. And it was always fun. It was watching your face kind of change, and you look for the loophole in the rules. There must be something I've done wrong. It's like, no, you're losing. I can see it right now on your face.
All right. All right.
I don't know how that feels though. That must be like, in like when Obi-Wan realizes that Darth Vader is just so much more powerful and takes him out.
I've been
betrayed. But you were the chosen one. So that for me has just been learning paint skills, brush control, how different stuff interacts, and then in the game, just consistency is just been fun. Just playing, and getting better. So that's me. That's my top, things of 23.
Well, I remember when I first introduced you, or reintroduced. I know you played Warhammer as a kid, but I reintroduced you to the game, and I don't know how many games we played. We played a good 20, and I felt terrible. Like I wasn't pulling punches, I wasn't holding back, but there's so much. We were mostly playing 9th edition, and there was so much to absorb. So you picked up the game late in the edition with all the extra rules and codex and all this craziness. And I just remember looking at your face. You were always so excited after the first or second round. And then the change in your face when everything really started to get complex towards the end, but you kept showing up. And then I remember it was even back in 9th edition where you beat me with Space Marines, with Ultramarines. And this was when you didn't even have an updated codex. And you beat me fair and square. You had really good tactics. You came with a strategy, and you had, I remember you brought in a big squad, a big block of Hellblasters, and just melted. I mean, absolutely destroyed. And I was like, wow, okay. I mean, yeah, you beat me. And I don't like to lose. I'm very competitive. I don't lose very often. And so when you beat me, it was such a shock recently with Combat Patrol. I was like, well, wait a minute. Something's got to be wrong, because this just doesn't happen. And I'm like, no, you just had a really good strategy. The deep strike worked. And you're right. I mean, you have learned so much. And where I started, I did the same thing with Lawson. Lawson got me introduced to this game, and I didn't win ever. Like, it took me a long time to win, and then I finally beat him, and it was very, very satisfying because he taught me how to play. So it's kind of the same thing. It all come full circle, and now we're all highly competitive, trying to beat each other. So very cool. Good 2023 for you, Lawson. To round things out, what was your 2023 like?
My 2023 was all over the place. I worked on so much stuff. The first half of the year, it took the whole year to do it, but I built my first diorama from the ground up. So started with just kind of took like a wooden plaque and built up the diorama, and I recreated the scene from those who have I'm going to say the words, read the book. The end and the death. I know. It's the end and the death part 1, where Sanguinius fights the 2 Khorne demon princes. He fights Carbander and Angron back to back. And my diorama recreated the combat scene between Sanguinius and Carbander in my own kind of twist. So I built that. It took essentially the whole year. I think I worked on it a bunch at the beginning, kind of sketching and coming up with the idea, and then it sort of got shelved. Life took over and it got pushed away, but eventually rounded that out and finished it up. it's super satisfying to finally have that done, to push my painting skills to the next level. I mean, kind of we've all definitely been doing that as we continue to work, but I started working on some salamanders, and that's been really cool to kind of work and build on salamanders. My super big one, though, the one that I think is going to make all of you kind of surprised, I no longer have a pile of potential. Every model I own is at least built, terrain included.
Wow.
Everything is built. All of it is built. Yeah.
But not painted.
So
just built.
Not painted.
Okay.
No, but it is built. It is all at least built. Yeah. So that's, yeah, I know that's kind of wild. I'm pretty stoked about that one myself. I don't know what to do with all this free time. I guess I have to paint now. Now I don't have an excuse.
You know what that means? You got to go buy more stuff.
I have to buy more stuff.
Yeah.
I know. It's okay. Something else will come out, and it'll pique my interest. I'm gonna start that fourth army that I don't need.
If only there were an event coming up in a couple of weeks where you could buy something at a discount.
Oh man, if only.
Right? Just saying.
What could that be?
Just saying. You could buy.
I might.
You could buy a Combat Patrol or 7.
I could.
Yeah.
Combat Patrol is a good way to start new armies, anyways.
For sure.
So I might. Other than that, on the gaming side, this one's kind of quick. The Thousand Suns, the rework of the Psychic Phase, it was weird at first, but having kind of walked through it, good change. There are a couple points where I'm like, well, that's kind of annoying, but it's more like nitpick stuff with certain spells being attached to certain characters, but you just bring other characters that have the spells you want if you're looking for a specific spell, but it's okay. Other than that, that's really good positive change. Lots of games have kind of gotten a bunch of games in for 2023.
Awesome.
Still looking to hopefully get a couple more in, and hopefully as 2024 comes in, we can crank out all the games.
That's the plan.
That's the strategy. But that's my list. That's my 2023 recap.
Well, solid 2023, I think, from all of us. We've still got a few more weeks to go, and very excited, especially for our upcoming event at Mechanical Keyboard. And we'll talk more about kind of what happened there, our playthroughs, maybe hopefully some of the things that we're looking forward to in 2024, the next couple of episodes. We've only got a couple left, so we are going to take a bit of a break coming up for the holidays. So keep it locked here, and you'll be hearing more of our stories and shenanigans, of course. So that will wrap our episode of Bolters and Booze. Thank you so much for listening, and we really appreciate the support. Make sure you tell other folks about our podcast and everything that we're doing here. I am David the Warboss, and we will see you next time on Dadhammer. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.